and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am. So hello there and welcome, beloved Ascension Pioneers and all you lovers of life out there, to this special video edition. As you can see, I'm back in my alpine mountain portal, and as I return home, as it always happens to me, it felt like the whole of Gaia, the whole of creation and the infinite life force is greeting me there in the sacred space. And I have such a profound connection with this magical land here and the portal that whenever I come, it feels like I've never truly left because my energy is always here. And when I'm in this pristine space, I can really deeply feel the ascended version or nature of Gaia. And as many of us who are working with the portal magic and are helping to infuse all life with greater levels of life force so that the planetary levels can be uprising, this constant contribution to what is happening also with our personal ascension, as there is no separation between this journey. I wanted to somehow bring through a message, and once again from the level of the Elohim consciousness, which is the consciousness of holding life forms in its purest state of existence, as in all life was created through the divine Creatrix. And what this means is that the original design for life and then the experience of that life through the unique life forms. So I've channeled a special Elohim light family and the creation principles audio, like a mini audiobook that is available on my homepage. And you can actually tune into that as a MP3 download, and it kind of walks you through what this is about and how you can attune to your own consciousness that connects with the consciousness of the Elohim. So in this video, I particularly wish to talk even more about how to work with the vertical or the white ascension light pillar in terms of organically connecting to this higher ascended version of Gaia. Because as you know, you're gonna walk through the planet. You're definitely gonna visit other points in creation, because sometimes, although we love certain places we're in and we feel that's our portal, this is where our magic is at the highest level of expression, we're still gonna be called out as volunteer souls, as those who came here to assist this planetary process and the human evolutionary process. We're gonna be called out to different streams of life and to intermingle and interact with various people from all walks of life. And I connect personally to people from all walks of life. I don't just connect to the community of what people call the star seeds, the awakened ones, the illumined ones. In my daily life, I connect to people, people as people from all walks of life. And I have these experiences more and more that when I connect to people, people feel this inner magic instantly. They feel a connection and they somehow respond to my energy unknowingly. They're not always aware what this is about, but they respond to this magic, and we are seeding the gifts of life with our every conscious interaction we're making. It's becoming more apparent, more evident, and more necessary for us to intermingle and interact with all people from all walks of life. If you're joined in any sort of spiritual groups, don't just hang out with those people there as it feels natural and safe and like you belong there. But as a pillar, a star-seeded one, an awakened one, you're here to ground your magic in a very natural way, which means the life force organically travels to where it needs to travel from this vortex pillar, and then it touches upon the threads of life that is meant to touch upon, that it's meant to infuse with its magic. So the people will be touched and move, not always awareingly. You might share with them different things that you share within your natural communities. People won't always understand everything. People tell me, I don't understand this language, or I don't know what this is about, but they're connecting with you and with this essence at a very primal level, which activates them on the level when they're ready and how they're ready to respond. So when we are truly in our pillar, we won't in a way distract this flow of life, or we won't determine the energy or how it needs to flow through our own ego and personal belief systems, but we will instead allow the life force to naturally take us through the course of life and influence this course of life in a natural, organic way. So I love to live my life as a fully free spirit being, which I am, which you are, which we all are. except that we have a different levels of embodiment of this natural freedom that is our divine birthright. And within that freedom space, you have the ultimate capacity to influence life from this awakened state. So as you're moving along with things you love to do and create, sometimes you will feel greater pleasure to do something or greater level of energy exchange, and sometimes you will feel a lesser level of the energy exchange, and life will show you where you are somehow moving through different spaces that you're meant to, and when sometimes you're moving through energies that are not so natural to you but are also part of life, and for us to embrace it and to love it either way. So as I went recently for this short holiday, that was kind of like my birthday retreat, and I've shared some videos from there. I really felt how when I walk through a certain tunnel, it's like a tunnel of this denser light. Light is still light, it's just that it densifies in a certain way. I feel different. I don't feel as uplifted. I don't feel as energized as I do in this portal when I can instantly uplift. I didn't sleep all night when I came home. I was riding all night on the bus and all morning, and I didn't sleep at all. I just had a few, dozing off moments. And then when I came here, I instantly recharged, is because when through your own pillar, you connect to this high energizing point of the pillar that is also the creation pillar within a structure of Gaia's living Creatrix system, which is not an artificial matrix, which is still playing out when you're going to go through all walks of life and different people and structures like cities. When I go into cities, I can only say, ugh, yuck, it is so dense. Not that I judge it. It's just that I can't recognize myself as a living organic being and being placed around these artificial grids. And you still see people having this daily grind, this struggle for survival, and sometimes even thinking that's all there is to life. A lot of times this robotic, day-to-day, mundane living, and you can see it even just from a distance. You can see it just, driving in your car, in a bus, or public transportation vehicle, and you're going to see this, you're going to witness life in such a sense. And you're going to be a spectacle, in a way, a bystander, a neutral observer. And still you will create from love when you activate the inner pillar. Okay, so the first thing that I wish to share today is how do we ground this pillar so that no matter where we go, we're instantly and always connected with this high energy point. We're going to do a short light exercise. I'm going to bring through a sacred message as well from the Elohim consciousness presence. And we're going to work on creating that magic so that wherever we are going, we're going to have that impact and influence upon the world at large. Because that is why we're here from. We're not only here to be within the light. People go to these paradise places like Hawaii, Sedona. They say this is high activity points. Yes, we all have available to us those high magic points. But we've also came here to influence from this core level template the points that are not so enlightened, so that are perhaps more densified, the more crass in that level of their expression, which is not yet that organic, it's not yet crystalline. Just like when you're presented with different activations and meditation work, you can work within the light and it's all beautiful, and you can see rainbows, unicorns, the crystalline temples, which represent this higher magic, higher attainment through the light activation part. And then you can also work with the more shadowy aspect, which is more the down world or the inner world, where you can see something like this sacred pools of waters or rainforests or forests, in general, something more soil based, more earthy, and with the energy not so much as any more unicorns, right, but more like, I don't know, elementals, dragons, things like that, like mystical creatures, which are also a part of creation. So what we're doing is we're embracing creation and its magic, but we're doing it from a place of the wholeness, the allness of life. So how do we embrace all walks of life? We don't simply say, well, it's okay to build more cities. Oh yeah, bring more artificial things. No, but what we do is we bring the light infusion to those aspects that are very inorganic in their nature. And everyone can become a part of this, what I call being a creation pillar. You're placed on the planet, as I am in my own mission, to seed life in that highest purity form from a particular template that is designed and structured through you so that this creatrix can be birthed. But everyone, once they start awakening, they can attain that level of consciousness. Just like I've shared with you, everyone can attune to the Elohim consciousness at large, because it is a part of a group consciousness, which we are all a part of. So from the unity perspective, we are a part of all perspectives. We're a part of all these light groups. We just have to vibrationally attune to that, to feel a part of that. So as you might feel, well, Polona's talking about these things or these beings like the Elohim, so how can I tune more into that consciousness? Is through the vibrational upgrades and attunements through your crystalline DNA. That is how you're going to become more encompassed with this higher light infusion. And today, this exercise we will do will help you to attune into this sacred portal within you, anchoring it, and then wherever you go, you will kind of carry the seeds of life from that portal space, from that vortex which you have or you are co-creating, because of course there is only the now. But let's first start with this sacred message within a highlight transmission for this overall topic we're talking about today. Dear beloveds, we're gathered here today to discuss a very important subject, a matter of speaking to which you all relate to, because you are all a part of the living Creatrix. So what is the difference between the Matrix and the so-called Creatrix, which is internally directly connected through the creation principles to all life in creation? It is the difference that in a pure Creatrix form, life is designed as it was designed first through the creator, the prime creator aspect of life. When we talk about the Matrix, for example, these are the many descended ways and fractures from that original template, which many would say they're somehow fragmented still. So as you walk upon this planet, you will feel the consciousness, the awareness within both, which is not just this or that. You will feel many interlaying layers. And as you will somehow tune into your own feeling nature, you will differently feel, in each moment. You will say, why am I feeling so uplifted in this space? Or why am I feeling so dense? Or sometimes even rigid in certain other locations of the planet. It is not about the location of the planet you are on, because the whole of Creatrix of Gaia is as it is. But it is that the Matrix system, as it was placed as an overlay through the living Creatrix, as an superimposed organics that was somehow humanly imposed upon the original Creatrix design, is structured and is held at different levels. So when you go to certain places that are not yet that ascended through the Matrix template, you will feel a denser energy. You will feel a deeper impact of those kind of structures that feel denser or more rigid. You will feel less enthusiastic, less joyful when you somehow intersect, cross over those points. So how to work with that? How to work with the magic to bring in the light infusion from the Creatrix into the human-made, sometimes very fractured and fragmented aspects of the Matrix. As you know, the answer is always through the essence of divine love, which is creation love. It is the love of all life and creation. So you might say, okay, the answer is love, but how do we do that? How do we bring that love? Because often it just feels too difficult. When we go somewhere that doesn't feel that magical, that doesn't feel that portal-like or high in its energy, how can we keep up with that energy in a way that comes from creation love? So we tell you that this is a possibility within every human, and although it is challenging, it is a part of your natural learning to go through this system, or what many call the binary system of always shifting between the lesser, the better, the lower, the higher, until you will feel nothing but the pure life force of the Creatrix design and the original divine blueprint for all life as it was initially designed through the code of perfection. You are the key to that life, because humans are not really small. as souls are not small. Often in these circles of light, there is this talk about the universe and how great or grand it is, and how the human factor is so tiny within that universal picture or structure of things. And yet we remind you that the universe, a lot of it, is empty space, or what you might call a vacuum, or dark matter that has not yet been overlighted with the light of illumination as source expands into itself. So you, as the guardians or the keepers of that sacred light, are much stronger, much intenser in that light than you would like to imagine. So when you compare yourself to the greatness of the universe, you're naturally aware that you are not meant to compare yourself with the universe. You're meant to exist in the universe as the keepers of light, as the keepers of the holy sacred flame that is meant to be carried forth and brought into all aspects of creation in different variations of form and the densities that belong to those forms. So the first part of this activation is to recognize yourself not as small but as grand. And that is not coming from the perspective of ego, which tells you I am so powerful, I am so amazing, that all I can see is me. That comes from the aspect of recognizing the human factor at its co-creational level and how important it is for the infusion of light, or the life force from Holy Spirit. Remember that the more life force you can embody, the more you attune and connect to the spirit. And the more you connect to spirit, the more life force you embody. It is one and the same. It is not this, then the other. It is that as itself, or that as the other, in unity. So that is the first step to take, is to awaken and to embrace your greatness. Because without knowing that you can do great things, you can mentally think about doing great things, but not truly having the right impact, because a part of you still tells you you are less than, or you don't have the superpower capacities or the superhero qualities, because somehow you cannot even compare or fathom yourself when you put yourself in a space of comparison, like with the majestic nature of the stars, the universes, and so on and so forth. Remember, you are of source. And the creation of soul through its uniqueness of the light is always meant to accomplish and achieve greatness through grace, through the threefolded flame of love, wisdom, and power. This takes place. And perhaps you are already aware of this, but cannot fully embody it in your personal life because a part of you still tells you you're small. That is the first aspect that is meant to be addressed here today in this activation. The second thing is recognizing yourself not only working with the pillar of light, but being as the pillar of life itself. So when people ask, how do we work with the pillar? The better question would be, how do we work with ourselves as the pillar? And we're often asked this question because people still hold a space of division, or they keep fragmenting that as me versus the pillar, me versus creation, me versus the greatness of the universe. So this in its totality is the embracing of the inner greatness, the inner light that was meant to propel you on the journey of being the keeper of light and the holy flame of creation, and carrying forth in all life in creation that was designed through the very nature of Creatrix. And then secondly, seeing that you do that through the pillar of light as the pillar of light that you are. So the mission of the creation pillar in itself is to be that pillar. It's not working with anything outside of itself. It is becoming the very essence of that pillar and working with the individualized personalized light quotient that flows through the embodiment of life force, as each and every being works on embodying their soul, which can only occur, as we already know, through soul complete and utter soul unification through that uniqueness. So the individualization of the soul. And now the third aspect that is a part of this activation is seeding that within the core with such profound greatness that wherever you are, you recognize yourself as that home. And the home is the pillar frequency, because that is the vertical alignment to what you do and accomplish horizontally. For when we talk about the vertical pillar of light, we still place that within the duality of this or that, vertical, horizontal. But when we only say the white pillar of light, the white light is all-encompassing, and it truly is a spiral. There is no more division in that wording of that matter. So recognizing yourself as that pillar is the foundational step to take to understanding how to work with the pillar, because truly humans can't understand anything once it comes outside of them. But once it becomes within them, as the light shining through you, you as the light of the thousand suns, and that is only an archetype or a wording to be used. It is not about a number. It is about the light quotient that continuously and gradually keeps on expanding through the spiraling nature of all life in creation, and therefore infusing the all life forms through the Creatrix principle, which is the divine mother, the giver of life frequency, so that you're not only a spectacle or a participant in life and even the co-creator with life, but you become the giver of life itself. And that is that final aspect that wants to be addressed here through this consciousness, as you are all a part of, naturally, which means that seeing all life as an unifying force, even that which seems opposing in a way, or it feels denser, more rigid, harder to move through, that is in no way less meaningful in the experience of Source. And as you know, Source is that divine point of knowing which knows itself and all of it, and all of life, and all of creation, and yet it continuously births forth new creation cycles and new forms of life and life experiences, which means it's also continuously expanding and getting to know itself. So the knowing and the unknowing, or the not knowing aspects, are truly one and unified just as well. And that is also an aspect to be embraced here in this activation before doing the light exercise that will be provided. So once you start seeing yourself as that pillar, no longer feeling that you are somehow connecting to this column of light, but this is through you, as that pillar itself, then you truly activate the portal magic and you become that portal magic itself. And one last thing that wants to be expressed and truly presented as an awareness point is why it is so important to be with nature in terms of the living structures of Gaia at this time, is because of so much it was built on false premises and the matrix system that was humanly made and oftentimes very artificial, and not built through the Creatrix principle. And remember, anything that is not built organically through creation principles and the great Creatrix will eventually dissolve or fall apart. Because only that is permanent, that is eternal, is that which is based upon divine Creatrix, or the divine design for all life. So as you move into this pillar template that you are, you activate, you embody, you naturally embrace the Creatrix principle, because you simply align with it in a very organic fashion that is not mentally achieved through you, but very spontaneously, almost like a magical child knowing itself as magic. So the child in that essence does not say, I am performing magic or I am working with magic, but I am the essence of magic. You see the difference? So when we place a lot of the focus on the true Gaia, the ascended Gaia grid, which is formed through the Creatrix principle, or the design of the perfection of life, you help to imbue anything that is not coming from that organic template with the purity of such life in creation. And you become as Source itself, remembering itself not only as in its all-knowingness, but in non-knowingness, which is all the components, all the beings, all the souls, all the lights, all the beautiful spectrums of that light that holds capacity to expand by recognizing and knowing itself. You're also becoming Source in its fully aware state, becoming also fully aware. So there's the magic. That's the magic and the beauty and the meaning of life in physical expression. So to be with Gaia's Creatrix, you will see the truth as it's presented to you through that living Creatrix principle, instead of seeing oftentimes the illusions of the physical world, being sold many things as the truths and saying, well, that's just how life is, or when I go here it feels dense. It must be terrible on our planet. When you will see the planet as a conscious living being from the Creatrix principle and the divine design for a life, you will see a very different picture, because it will be shared to you through spirit, and spirit only knows purity and divine love. So in this way, you become the glue to this love, the component for giving birth to life, that wherever you will be guided to go, or infused out with the light of spirit, will be done through the Creatrix principle. And that is what the exercise will be about. So thank you for tuning into this message and for allowing this consciousness to speak through, to share itself, because when there is allowance, there will be that presented. If there is no invitation, there is no presentation. So this is all a co-creational process, you see. It is a spiral of life unfolding. So we welcome you into the exercise part, and we thank you for being present and becoming more and more conscious participants with life as the holy givers of life itself. So welcome now to this last part of the message, which will be shared through a light activation exercise for all of you, for all of us. The exercise, again, is very simple, because remember, all things in life are truly very simple. The simplest truths, sometimes the mind questions them because they're so simple. How can it be so simple? Once you attune to source consciousness living through you as you will see nothing but that pure core simplicity. So the more you unify with your core creation self, the less you will have a desire for difficulty, for challenges, even in such a way, for dramas, for misinterpretations, and for that which is not truly a part of your life path, which of course will bounce you back, bounce you into your original template and design for what you're meant to be here for. But still, what we're going to do today in this exercise is a part of complete knowing of yourself as that pillar, and working through and understanding the infusion of life force that continuously comes through the pillar. So what we will do today in this exercise is put yourself again in a vertical pillar position, sitting down. And I would like to invite you through this short visualization process. Of course, take a few deep breaths to really center and align yourself. Although remember, centering and aligning yourself is not something you're trying for, you're hoping to achieve. It is simply a state that always is spiraling within you, and it's just that now your conscious mind recognizes that which is a part of your super consciousness, which is the allness of life that you're always intrinsically a part of. So what you do is, through that short visualization technique, placing yourself in the space which feels like a portal to you, which you would recognize, which your consciousness would recognize as the highest living scenario for yourself, whatever that might be. For me, that would definitely be the Alps and the high mountain environment, because it is so pure in its frequency, because there is less population here than it is at other places that sometimes feel very dense because there's just so many people living there. Or simply you can imagine yourself in this visual to be, I don't know, either standing on top of a mountain, or standing somewhere, or sitting somewhere, I don't know, along the river stream, or being somewhere by the ocean. Whatever you recognize as that highest potential of vortex magic. So when you place yourself through this short visualization, imagine yourself becoming this bright light, this sparkling light that just simply radiates and beams throughout the whole being that you are. It is so intense, it is so vast, that illuminates through every structure that is organically held within your physical vehicle. So your whole body is illuminated with that light, with the radiance of that white light and the spiral, and moving and expanding in all the directions. Now, imagine yourself from this space, once it's fully anchored and truly feels like, yes, it clicks. Yes, this is how I feel when I feel at the highest point. You can even do a memory recall exercise, which is not even going in the past, because remember, even the past is a part of your now. It's just a memory, and the linear processing puts it in the past time reference, but it's truly in the now, because when you're remembering it in the now, right? So you are in the present. And you know you're in the present because you have feeling. Something within you just resonates with something, which means you are in the feeling vibration. So you are in unity. You're in unison with that truth. It is a part of your core magic. So in this space, simply recognize that click. Recognize that quantum entanglement where all the parts of you come into the most sacred holy place that you truly belong to, as recognizing yourself as the home, because again, home is who you are, not where you are. It's just that which you surround yourself with activates the level of sacredness, and the sacredness and sanctity of all life in creation, as it is truly illumined in its highest point, or this vantage point of you viewing it as through the eyes of illumination. So when you do that and recognize this as the highest point of purity, simply invoke that now you wish to be and you wish to have an experience with another place, a physical place, something that truly actually exists on this planet. Because remember, I told you, you don't have to physically go somewhere to have that impact, or to feel energies or sensations from another place, from perhaps what's happening within the many deconstructing parts of Gaia's, like I said, the overlapping matrix that was man-made, that was human-built. And you can feel that, and you can have a feeling somehow irritated and very bad just by being in your room, or being even in the holiest of your spaces. Because it is a part of your assignment at this moment to translate this energy, to infuse it with light. And the life force you are somehow learning to cultivate, energize with yourself, because you're energizing timelines this way. What this means is that you are giving life potential. You are helping to bring the life into its more and more higher frequency attainment, which means you're breaking down the codes of density, making it less dense and more in flux. You're bringing more flow. So when you go to places, even physically, of density, you're bringing flow. You're not always aware of it as a star-seeded being. Perhaps you're feeling it somehow on some level, and that's not only when you feel blissful. A lot of times the work you're doing is when you will get the most irritated. Why? Because you're definitely in the space of density, and the irritation factor shows you, oh, I'm working through something, and it will often feel unpleasant. It's how I experience it myself. Sometimes you want to run away from it, but it's not our intention here. It's not our goal. It's not our task and mission, of course. So when you are in this high space, that would mean that if I'm somewhere and I'm feeling irritation, I can instantly call my inner vortex. And it's not, again, I'm going there. It's not a linear process. I'm simply invoking it and remembering in the now. So it's not calling for the past. So if I'm somewhere else, and as I recently found myself by the ocean, and I felt a lot of density there in those places, I could instantly feel my connection of home. And when we get that longing or homesickness, a lot of times we do that because our soul is sending us codes, and they're permeating through our vortex, through our pillar, which means literally you're downloading those codes through that longing factor and infusing it into the living structures of where you're physically in the moment. So we do that work non-physically and physically at the same time. When you're physically doing it, like I said, a lot of times when you feel that irritation and you want to be somewhere else or in another place, or going back home, what we call the homesickness, you're literally calling forth for that aspect to imbue itself through you into those aspects of density, to break those codes of density down, to bring more flow. And that's what we're doing. So in this exercise, and you can use it at any time, it doesn't have to be a long meditation. It's simply, again, a remembering process in the now. So what you're doing is you're invoking this highest potential of the portal magic, of the vortex, of the quantum entanglement, which is all selves of you when they reach their highest fulfillment point of destined reality, they're existing at the highest, not just potential, but the expression of that potential, which already became manifest. So what you're actually doing is you're bringing the gift of home, which is who you are, and with the alignment of your physical also home, which can be a geographical place, but it's really not about geography. It's the place where you've somehow built your portal space through your portal magic, like I did here in the Alps. So naturally, people will feel that too. And what we're going to do here in this exercise is we're going to do a quick attunement where the place you will physically visit in this moment, in the now. So get your gear ready. You're gonna feel the portal that I'm here bringing forth and sharing and emanating. So imagine yourself, you're still rooted in your portal, you're rooted in your inner magic, in your vortex, Creatrix. And now see yourself visiting the Alps here. We're using that as an example. And just allow the life force of this place, which is timeless. It's not geographical at all, although in a linear sense, in our physical embodiment, it's how we experience it. But as multidimensional beings, as galactic humans and star-seeded beings and cosmic masters, we are feeling beyond just that aspect. So we're feeling multidimensionally. We're multidimensionally empathic, multidimensionally sensitized. So we're not desensitized through the matrix system, but we're sensitive beings, divine sentience through the Creatrix principle, through the design of life. So naturally you will feel that in your core magical space, you feel at its highest, at your highest potency. When I'm in the Alps, I notice I even look different than I do when I'm in spaces of more density. And it took me quite a few years to see everything, how it functions, how I function, how I work with the life force, how it works through me. It took me time. And as I've mastered this, I've shared these gifts with all of you because it is so important for this knowledge to return. It's the knowledge of pure life force and creation. And I always tell you, if you are still new to this and you're very interested, or you even want something more advanced, my Tantrika Life Force Mastery course is available on my self-mastery page. So all the links down below. But let's move now to the main part of this exercise, which is you visiting the Alps now, to be with me in the space. Although you're not here physically, your multidimensional aspect can tune into this energy. And I would like to now invite you to close your eyes, to simply put the intention of you don't even have to think, I want to travel there. As you are in your pillar, as the pillar itself, you are in the Merkaba, which is the light in the human and flesh. That means you are instantly in that intertwining nature of your union, which is you can be in any spaces of time and simultaneously, because you are in your pillar nature, in your pillar alignment. Okay? So just in that space, when you put out a sacred intention, and that's how we work in the multidimensional scheme of things, we simply intend, and then we feel into that which is behind the intention itself. So now, without even needing to look how energy feels around me, without needing to physically attune to that, just feel how the energy feels like for you now. It doesn't have to be pictures or images you receive, but you can get an instant recharge of energy, or an energy download. You can get buzzing in your ears, or you can suddenly start feeling very joyful, or you suddenly maybe want to get up and start dancing. Just feel the energy and say, my intention, my desire is to travel through life force, with life force as the essence of spirit life force itself, as I move into the desired space of preference through my core self-understanding and the principles of creation and unity consciousness. So be it, and so it is. And feel into your pillar and feel into the Merkaba awareness, which is the template of your crystalline nature, as in your unified self. And then hold that intention and feel into the energy. A lot of times when I share pictures, people say, wow, I'm feeling the portal magic through what you share. People who are very open, very empathic can do that. And maybe there's people who are also, but they haven't yet activated their gifts so much through these meditative techniques, through these light activations. And if you want to do that as well, I have so many light activations on my webpage as well, under light activation section. So just feel how the energy feels like, what it feels like for you, and you will instantly get a download, a recharge, or a feeling of life force, how it expresses itself in this unique aspect of this variation of creation, which is here. Again, it's not geographical. It is the essence that expresses itself in this unique fashion here in the physical form. So you can do that as well for other things that you are perhaps, or maybe places you want to visit. You are definitely capable of all of that. Just recently, an astrologer shared a video when he was in Machu Picchu. I just watched the first part where it was, where it was filmed on location. And it was no different from me being there. I felt just through the video, I'm there because the codes came, and it was that instant life force attunement when you are fully activated in your life force mastery. And that's why I designed a life mastery course called the Tantrika, is you can have all those gifts reawaken within you through your DNA activation. And I also have a DNA illumination for the Illumin Human activation, as well as an audio on my page. So, quite simplistic but very wondrous things for all of us to consider and implement into our daily lives through our meditative practices or routines, so that life becomes more and more sacred, so that the sanctity and sacredness of life returns here, where our home is, in this moment, in this Gaia core essence of creation and her own divine design and blueprint for life. So thank you for participating, as always, with so much love, wisdom, and power. If you have any questions, you know where to find me, and I always put my questions in the videos that I'm doing. They're not going to be perhaps answered directly to you because as I've shared before, I am in selfless service to all, not just to particular individuals, which means you, by asking questions, you activate the field, like the channel message said. When there is an invitation, there is a presentation. So that will be definitely delivered. So do keep in mind, when sometimes people ask me things through comments, and I don't reply directly through comments, but I contemplate on the questions, I put them in my pillar, and then I see what comes out in perfect divine timing. So that's my own way of free spirit activation and the workings of how I'm always guided through the magic and mystery of spirit. Thank you so much. If you want to support my work, you can also find that on my page, Set Up Being a Light, how to do that via Patreon, donations, whatever, if you somehow feel called. And thank you so much for, again, loving the world, loving this beautiful planet as a precious jewel of creation that it is, with me, with all of us as one in unity consciousness. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. When you are working with life force, things never run dry. There is always more. There is this infinite potential that you keep tapping into and utilizing in your daily, day-to-day life. The places you wish to see and visit and infuse with your light, the things you wish to create, the magic you wish to infuse this realm with. It is so infinite. It doesn't just end. You don't deplete your resources linearly and cease to exist. This magic of the multidimensional living is the sacredness of life returning through you, through your presence of immense divine creativity when you awaken and activate this magical inner divine child, which is so full of life. It is so limitless and infinitely free. And it only wishes to give of itself, through itself, as the gift of life itself. And so you exist in this highest form of living as a sacred offering on earth, an offering of spirit made manifest in the totality of all life, through beauty, love, and grace. To meditate and to center yourself into your true core self is only the first part of the vertical alignment of the self, core creation self alignment. But it is not where your destiny, your journey ends. You're not meant to contemplate, ponder, and meditate and reflect all the time. You're meant to spread the seeds of love through the vastness of joy that is lived and experienced through you as the essence of life itself that wants to share itself. You're meant to laugh, play, sing, dance with life and creation in order to move the energies out of stagnation. And as you do so, you bring life into higher fulfillment, into a higher density form by dissolving the dense molecules that want to be birthed in you. And that is what you do. As the magical child divine, it is your heritage, it is your birthright, and it is your time. Step into the light of your core self, and the journey of divine lover of life. As you embrace this journey, drunken, but not by wine, you are drunk, beloved, with the essence of life. And your state of utter bliss is here to entwine with all other life forms and all that is yet to be self-realized through your divine assistance and intervention, through the core liberation of the soul that is now ready to become so much more. So be it, and so it is. So I'm back home, and I just channeled this song, the beloved song called The True Soul Home of Mine. And I wanted to share this spirit message that came through afterwards with all of you through the beauty of love and divine grace. Of course, I had tears in my eyes, as always, with this true emotional response to this beauty that surrounds me, that I surround myself with, and this co-creation with life. And with these tears of joy, happiness, and celebration of life, I now pass on these words to all of you. Oh life, how you love. Oh, how loved I truly am. Oh, how truly loved we all are. So be it, and so it is.